Okay, so let's start. So about us, we are Dime. We are a non-selling ISV with a unique focus on the Microsoft Dynamics Partner Channel, and then especially CRM and NAV. We are based in Belgium, in Antwerp, and our main focus is on distributing Microsoft Dynamics add-ons that we created ourselves, or add-ons that we distribute for other partners around the world. Our most important add-ons is, first of all, of course, Dime.Scheduler, which you will see in a second. We also have Dime Label, which is a label printing solution created in cooperation with Dymo, known from its label printers. That lets you basically print your own designed labels from anywhere within NAV without doing any development. Furthermore, we have Document Capture, which is a fully integrated document scanning and OCR recognition system for Microsoft Dynamics NAV. And we also have Dynamics Anywhere, which makes basically any NAV process mobile. But of course, the focus of today will be Dime.Scheduler. That's the reason why you are all attending this webcast, of course. So, Dime.Scheduler, the graphical resource planning tool for Microsoft Dynamics partners. So if you are looking to integrate planning into your existing business processes, into your existing verticals, or for your existing customers, I will try to show you that with this application, this is perfectly possible, and I will try to show you at the end of this presentation that this is a very, very flexible application that lets you basically implement it in all sorts of businesses for all sorts of NAV installations, for all sorts of CRM installations, or a combination of multiple. We have basically 5 pillars when it comes to Dime.Scheduler, and you can see them on the screen right now. Control is yours, one planner to rule them all, segregation, time is of the essence, and track everything. And I'm going through them one by one just to explain a little bit. Control is yours. Well, with that we mean that with Dime.Scheduler, it allows you to let it control from the outside and let it control completely how it looks, how it feels to the user. Basically, you can control complete application, meaning, for example, colors and indicators in the application, customizable captions, languages, layout of the application. I will try to show you that later on in the demo. One planner to rule them all. With that we mean that basically everything you can think of that can be planned can also be planned with Dime.Scheduler. If you're talking about engineers on the road, consultants, hotel rooms, airplanes, trucks, rental equipment, reservations, water bikes even, everything you can even think of can be planned with the application. Same counts for tasks, so everything that needs to be planned, that can be a service order or a sales order or a job. It's all possible to send to Dime.Scheduler plan boards and to plan it with the application. But it's not only limited to that. So if you are a Microsoft Dynamics partner and you have your own vertical solution within, for example, NAV, you can perfectly send your own order types or your own entities to the plan board. You will see that they will appear on the plan board, and you can perfectly plan them and send everything back to NAV. And that's what I'm going to try to show you today, that the solution is flexible for any type of data that you want to send to it. Segregation, Dime.Scheduler allows you to segregate multiple planning environments all in the same application. So for example, if you have a planning user for the north of the country and one planning user for the south of the country, both of them will be working in the same application but within a different planning environment with also a different security model, etc., etc. Time is of the essence. This is actually the newest feature that was released a couple of weeks ago in the Q1 version of 2014. We implemented time slot functionality in Planboard. With that, we mean that you can set up a working day for, let's say, for example, a service engineer, and you can indicate when he's working, when he's not working, with a lot of functionality behind that. And we're also going to look at that during the demo in a couple of seconds. And last but not least, track everything. So we have some built-in geomap functionality in the system. including resource tracking. So basically, if you have resources with black boxes in their car with GPS tracking, you could send that data to Dime.Scheduler, and you will see that the resources will be tracked in the application. I'll also show you an example of that in a second. Let's first have a quick look at the more technical architecture of the client or of Dime.Scheduler. It's completely built on Microsoft technology. So with that we mean .NET, SQL Server, IIS, which is the web hosting platform of Microsoft. So running it on IIS means that the application is completely web-based. You could open it from basically any browser you want, from everywhere in the world, as long as you have access to the network where Dime.Scheduler is installed. It is a multi-tier application, which as database tier we have SQL Server. The middle tier would then be IIS, and the client tier is of course your internet browser, for example, Internet Explorer. We are using push notification technology, and with that we mean that we do not like refresh buttons. So every change done in the back office system is sent immediately to the plan board and is refreshed immediately onto the plan board. You will see that also in a second when we are going to start the demo. We've foreseen some flexible interfacing between the back office system and Dime.Scheduler with WTF web services. Basically, we have one web service where you're going to send all the data to, and that's what makes it so flexible. But I'm going to talk about that after you have seen the product. So at the end of the presentation, a bit more about interfacing. And the product could run standalone, so that is not an issue, but basically you are here today to see an integration, I think, with Microsoft Dynamics NAV. So, and that's what we are going to do in a live demo. So let me just open my terminal server, and if all is okay, you would be seeing NAV 2013 now. I'm just going to close it for a second, and I'm going to open the planning application. So I'm now logging in into the application as a service planner. So you will see it's an Internet Explorer browser which is opening. So the complete application is fully web-based. So this is the first look on Dime.Scheduler. Sorry. The user interface is very familiar for users working on Outlook, on Office. So you have the ribbon buttons here on top of the screen. And basically the complete user interface can be modified to the user's needs. So if you say, okay, this section we would like to change the width of the section, for example, you can do that very easily. You can also, of course, put it back. If you would like to put the map in the middle of the screen, you can just drag and drop it. And now you can see it in the middle of the screen. We could say, okay, I don't want to see the map. So then we can just close it, and now it's just completely disappeared from the screen. Of course, you could get it back. Just to show you that as a user, you can change the complete layout of the screen, and then of course also save it with this button here, which I will not do right now, but you could save it to the database. So the next time a user logs in, you will have exactly the same layout as last time the user logged in. If you look at the components on the screen, we have some different panes here, which you can see. Just a short overview. On the left top corner, we have the Open Tasks pane. These are basically all tasks that need to be planned. Tasks that are not planned yet, so we are going to drag and drop those tasks on the plan board later on. We have a map, which will display addresses and resources. As I said, we have resource tracking built in, so you could also display resources here on the map. In the middle and the center of the screen, we have, of course, the plan board with the time bar navigation on top. We have a calendar to select some date ranges, and we have some task details, which will display details of the data sent by NAV. Okay, so let's just start with a standard demo. We are going to create a service order in NAV. We are going to send it to the plan board. We are going to plan it and see how the round trip is done. So the data leaves from NAV, comes to the plan board, will be planned, and goes back to NAV. And then I will show you how you can very easy integrate status updates, color updates from NAV. So let's go to NAV, and I'm going to create a new service order. For example, replace hard drive. I'm going to put our popular customer on there. I will choose the service item. So just again, this is only an example. You could basically send any data that you want to the plan board. If you have your own order types, for example, transportation, you could just send that entity to the plan board. It's just the same. It's just a question of data. So I'm going to put the priority to high, and maybe not forget a service order type, and I put that to hardware. Okay, so now the order is ready. When you are sending the data to the plan board is, again, for you as a partner to decide. You could put it on some triggers and some tables, or you could, of course, this is a demo, so what we did, we just implemented here a button. We added a button with the command to send this service order to the plan board. So I'm going to hit that right now. So this is order 61. So if you now go to the plan board, and we are going to look in our open tasks, you will see that the order is already there. So that's what I mean with this push notification. You do not need to refresh anything. The client will refresh itself for you. So everything will appear automatically. So now if you are going to select this task, which we just sent from NAV, you will see that first of all, automatically the map jumps to the correct address of the customer. That is because we also sent the address from NAV. So you can see here the blue pin jump exactly to the address. The purple pins that you can see here are the resources. So I was talking about resource tracking. So these are resources that are currently in the neighborhood of the customer, which could help you to plan an urgent intervention, for example. Also, when we selected this task, here on the right bottom, some job and task details were loaded. So if I'm going to look, for example, at customer, I have all the customer data here. For example, contract and warranty data, which is also coming from NAV, or just some general data, which is the service order number, the line number, the service order type, which we have here. Good to know is that this screen, so all these tabs and the data that is inside of these tabs, and also this screen, so the open task screen, can be modified completely by you. So what you see here and which captions you see here can be set through setup, and I will show you that at the end of the demo, because every business has its own specific data needs, its own specific fields. So for example, the caption job number, we could change it in case number, or just guessing. You could add some fields, you could remove some fields, so you will only see the data that you want to see there. Same counts for the screen, so you could hide some groupings here, you could add some groupings, you can add some fields in certain groups. This is all through flexible setup. Okay, so we have our task. Now, of course, in a real-life situation, we'll have much more tasks here. There are some filtering, grouping, and sorting possibilities in the screen. So if, for example, we say, I would only like to see the high-importance jobs, which I just created one. You could just simply filter, I think users will know this from Excel, you could just filter out all the high importance jobs. Then you could, for example, sort by job number. So you see this is the job that you just created. Or you just clear the filter. The third possibility is that you are going to group or sort based on the importance, or group based on the importance, for example. So if you just drag and drop this column header, you will see that he's now going to group all the orders based on its high importance and low importance. So this is the order that we just have been creating. Okay, so when you send a task to the plan board, you have the possibility to send with that task some extra information. And with that we mean filter groups and filter values. You could compare them basically with dimensions in NAV. We are going to set up filter groups and values for our resources, but also for our tasks. An example would be the skills of a resource, the region a resource works in, the driver's license the resource has. So basically everything that qualifies a resource could be linked to that resource in some flexible filter group and filter value setup. And of course, for a task, you also know these filter groups. You know which region is needed. You know which skills are needed to do a specific task. So since we know that for our resources and for our open task, we could basically automatically filter out all the resources that are qualified to do this task. We can do that with this button. So if I will hit this button, you will see that the number of resources in the plan board, so these are your resources, are now much less. These are all the resources that can be qualified to do this task. If you would like to see the query behind it, we have here a screen resource filters, and I can show you here. So basically what happened now is that by pushing this button, the plan board was automatically filtered for all resources for the company Kronos, which have the skill accessories and basic PC knowledge, which are working in the region Midland, and which are working for the department service. You could perfectly delete some filters, reapply it, so you can see now we have another selection of resources. So this is what makes Dime.Scheduler a very flexible solution, because this is all flexible setup. So you will define the groups, you will define the values, and you will send them together with the task. And we go even further. This is also a part of the security mechanism of the application. So you could also define these values to a user, and you could say, okay, a user can only plan the resources for region North, for example. Then, when logging in, the user will only see the resources that apply to that region. The same for skills, the same for the company they're working for. And the nice thing is that you can have resources, for example, working in two regions, so that two planners will see that same resource. But the nice thing there is that one planner will not be able to change the planning of the other planner. They will see it, but they will not be able to change it. I will show you an example of that also in a second. Let me just close this screen for now. Okay, so now we've filtered our resources. We have a selection of resources that we can plan this task for. Now I would like to see which resource is free, first of all, today. So we have some planning already in place on today, so I'm on the date of today. We have some sorting possibility here where you can sort your resources based on their availability. So I would like to sort now on today's availability. If I do that, you will see that the sorting of the resources changes, and all the resources that are planned already move to the bottom of the screen, and all resources that are free right now move to the top of the screen. We have some other sorting possibilities. So first of all, by name. That was how they were sorted before. Another interesting one is by theme. So you could divide your resources in multiple teams and then sort by theme, like this. We now put the theme also in the caption here. So team A, team B, team C, and team D. So now they're sorted by theme. So, but let's go for now on today's availability. And now I want to actually plan this task, so I'm going to drag and drop it on the plan board for, let's say, Linda Martin. We're going to start at 9:30, and I'm going to extend it a little bit, so it will take all day until 6 o'clock. The color, which is now set, is driven by NAV. So we sent the service order type from NAV. Well, actually, that determined the color. Again, this is something that you, as a partner, can set up. You can determine the color on basically any field in your back office application. Now, I would like to go back to NAV and show you how this data got back on the service order. And I can do that by opening some links. We have a possibility to send links to the application. That can be a link to a PDF document, can be a link to a website, can be basically everything. But it can also be a link to an RTC page in NAV, and that's what we actually did. So we sent a link to the service order page here, and I can open the service order directly from here, where you can see the NAV service order. Now if I go to the resource allocation screen, you will see now that Linda is planned for 8.5 hours on today. So that is because we dragged and dropped this on the plan board. Now just to show you the complete integration, if you are going to say, for example, we change the repair status to in process of this order, you will see that on the plan board the color of the task changed. Yeah? Again, this is just an example. You could implement this in every process you want, on any trigger you want, with just some simple CL coding. So let me do it again, and I go to the status finished, and then it changes again from color. So that's basically a short round trip of the complete process. So data is sent to the plan board, it's planned in the plan board, sent back to NAV, where you can basically also do with it what you want. We now created some resource allocations, but you could as well update some other tables behind the scenes by just changing the CL code. And then we changed also the color of the tasks. So let me just turn off the filter, and I'll put the sorting back to the name. Okay, if you have a quick look at the plan board itself, now we are looking at the plan board in a horizontal way. So we have the timeline view, and here on top we have a time bar. So if you would like to switch from day, because we are currently looking at today, you could easily do that by using the time bar here on top of the plan board. So if I just select another day, you will see that I'm moving now to yesterday, or I want to move to tomorrow, or I would like to select 2 days. So now you have today and tomorrow in your plan board. You can just move this, double click on it, and it will select the complete week, for example. So this is used, this time bar, to navigate through your planning. If the date range is not long enough, you can just change it here. So this is basically as it works with in Outlook. If I would select another date range here, this will be updated with the date range that is selected here on the right calendar. Of course, we also have some other views. So now we are looking in timeline view. Let's go back to today. So timeline view, which means resources in a horizontal way. You could also say, I would like to do that in a vertical way. So then you have a day view, and you have a normal, let's say, Outlook view. This is the exact same planning, but just displayed in a different way. We could go to a week view, where you have per day all your resources. So today, tomorrow, or we could just turn it around and say group by resource. And now I see per resource my complete week overview. If you say I would like to exclude weekends, again you can just change it here, and then you can only see, or you will only see the work week. But let's go back to the timeline view. I think this is the most used view at the moment. Okay. So I was talking earlier in the presentation about time is of the essence, and which is actually a new feature in Dime.Scheduler. With that, we mean that we implemented time slots, and time slots are the colored things that you can see here, so the yellow, purple, and also the green ones here. So you could set up shifts or templates for your resources, assign your resources to those templates, and say, okay, for that template on Monday, the resource is working from 8 to 12, for example, from 12 to 1, he has a lunch break, etc., etc. Now we have 3 types of time slots. We have time slots where you cannot plan, so that are forbidden to plan. So if you would drag an appointment in that time slot, the user would receive an error message. You have time slots where you will need to give a confirmation if you plan in it. I think this purple one is one like that. So if I would move this appointment here, you will see now a confirmation is asked. So please confirm to plan in this time slot. It's a break for this resource. Then you can choose OK or cancel. This can be useful, for example, at the end of the day. If you know you can plan something in that time slot, but as of then the resource will be working overtime, so then you would like to have a confirmation. And another nice time slot feature is the auto extend time slots. So we have read-only and confirmation time slots, but we also have auto extend time slots. That means that when you are going to plan something on that time slot, the duration of your appointment will extend with the duration of the time slot. For example, for a lunch break, if you are planning a task on a lunch break, that means the resource is not working during that break, so the task should last an hour longer. This is also used very much for long projects, people that are planning 4 days at the same time, and there's a weekend in between, of course, and the task should be extended with 2 days, because in the weekend the resource is not working. So I think the yellow one is an auto extend time slot. So if I would move this one on the time slot, you will see that the appointment is getting extended. and now has 1 hour, is 1 hour longer. Yeah. This is also sent back to the back office, so now you will receive in the back office the notification that the working time is still the same, but there is 1 hour extra of non-working time, we call it. If I, of course, move it away, again, the task will be, again, 2 hours. Okay, if I would double-click on one of the appointments, you could see a bit of details of your appointment. So you have a subject, you have a body. All this data here is coming from NAV and is or can be configured through templates. So you could set up templates when the data comes in that it needs to compose these subject and body messages. You have a start time and end time and some resources. So as you can see now, it is currently planned for this resource Andrew Hall. But I could also say, and I want to plan Colin White, and it's Graham Evans for this task. So if I now hit OK, you will see that for 3 resources, this task is now planned. The nice thing here is that if I move this task, like this, that it will move along for the other resources. So they are linked to each other from the moment I select them here. You could also set up multiple resource types. Yeah. For example, we have a resource which you would like to plan, but I would also like to plan for a specific training room and for the specific equipment that you need. So then, then we could say, okay, I would like to plan it for room A, and okay, there are no equipment currently in the database, but room A will be sufficient. So now I plan the resource for room A for this task, and I could now see my planning from another dimension. So now currently we're looking on the resources itself. I could say I would like to see my planning by training room. Yeah. As you can see now, room A is now planned for this task. So if I will double click on it, you will see it's exactly the same. The resources also are still there, but I'm just looking in another view right now. So I can just go back to resources. If I move this to 5:45 and I go back to my training room, you will see that this also moved along. Yeah. So everything there is linked to each other, and it makes it possible to view your planning from different dimensions of problem. Now if we again double click on it, you could also change the color here. You could change the time markers. I will come back to that later. The time marker is that little thing here. So it's one of the indicators. Basically you have 3 indicators on an appointment. You have the color, you have the time marker, and you have the indication if it's a high or low priority. Let me just show you. I will put it high priority and put the time marker like this. Now you can see now this is red, and you have a high priority marker there in the upper left corner. You can also put them as a recurring appointment. So edit recurrent pattern, and this will allow you to say, okay, this task will occur every Monday of every week, for example. So this is basically the same as you would do in Outlook when you schedule a recurring appointment. You say a daily, weekly, monthly, on which day of the week, will it end, will it not end, etc., etc., etc. So this is a basic functionality that is also included in the software. Okay, so in the beginning of the demo I said, okay, you can change these screens completely, and you can set up your own columns and your own captions. So let me just show you now how it works, and then therefore I'm going to the settings of Dime.Scheduler. So you can see here you have different settings that you can change. I will not show you all the settings, but just show you, for example, the pane layout. So these are the layouts of the open tasks, which is the upper left screen, and task details, which are the groups on the bottom right. So, for example, if you would like to add a field to the open task screen, I could just pick it from the database. We have in our database 2 instances, a job and a task, and I could just pick it here, let's say, free text. There are a bunch of free fields in the database, which are designed for you to send your specific data to. So if you don't find the field that you need, you just send it to a free field, and give it a caption afterwards in the software. So let's do that. Let's say I'm going to add a free text field here on my open tasks. I will save that. And then I'm going to the localization to change the caption of that field. The application is available in multiple languages. currently we have German, English, French, Dutch, Italian, so we have basically all the languages that you can see here. So I would like to change the English caption now, and I would like to do that for my task, and it was the free text 1 if I remember correctly. So let's see here, free text 1. Okay, and let's enter their status or something. Doesn't really matter, and I will save it. So you will see now if we go back to the client, that here in this pane we have now a field status. Of course, we already filled it with a bit of data coming from NAV, but before it was not visible. So now it is visible with the correct caption that you want. And you could set up that caption for multiple languages if you are working in a multi-language environment. So this lets you modify this pane and the task details here on the bottom right. Just for the map, maybe very short, and then I have to go back to my other view, which is the resource view. If I select a planned appointment, you will see that also the pin will jump to the right position of the map. So that counts for this screen, the open tasks, but also for the planned appointments. The nice thing here is if I select 2 appointments, so if I hold down the control key and I select 2 appointments, you will see, now this is not a very good example, let me just check for another one in Belgium. Yeah. So this is a good example. You will see the 2 addresses appearing on the map. So that makes it possible to make a bit of a geographical planning, because you could also pin them on the map like this, so then they get another color. If I unselect now my planned appointments, you will see that the pins still stay. And then you could go to your open tasks and say, okay, for example, this one here is now displayed with the blue pin on the map. You could also pin that, and you could say also here, I will type in an address, if it will exist. There you go. So you could just also look for an address on the map. So there are multiple ways to navigate on the map and to search for addresses. You can just type them in. You can send them from NAV. You don't need to send any GPS coordinates from NAV. This is done directly here. So it's looking it up to the Bing services. So this is Bing Maps actually, which you see here. And you can also see your resources here that are tracked to their GPS. Okay, so I think that's the most important which I wanted to show you in this limited amount of time. Let's just jump back to the presentation. There we go. And talk a little bit about the multi-back-office connector, because that's one of the most important things which makes the product so flexible for you as a partner or as a customer. If you would like to implement this in your existing business processes, you do not need to do much modifications from your side, and certainly not in the application itself, so the application being Dime.Scheduler itself. We have a standard web service setup, which is fed by a named value pair methodology. So that means that you are going to send an instance of some data, but it's not specific predefined data. So that's what I mean with it's not only to plan service orders or not only to plan jobs, for example, but you can send anything you want to the plan board, and that can be a service order, but it can as well be a specific order which is coming right from your vertical. Data is sent back to NAV in this case. And again, what happens with that data, that's up to you. We send it back to NAV, and as of the moment it is received, the business logic of NAV will be used to change the data, to send updates back to the plan board. For example, if an appointment was planned on a resource and NAV sees afterwards that the resource cannot be planned for that task for any given reason, you could trigger it back to the plan board and, for example, color the appointment in red, so the planning user sees, okay, there's an issue here. I cannot do this, for example. So this makes Dime.Scheduler a very flexible solution for all sorts of implementation scenarios. We of course have a standard NAV and a standard CRM connector available, but I would say it's more like an example of how you could do it. You can of course use the standard NAV connectors, but most of partners and customers are not using a standard NAV. But it's more like an example of how it can be implemented. So we have a standard NAV connector for service management, jobs, production orders, sales, and employee absence. I will show you the employee absence in a second because there's one other thing I wanted to show you about that. Also, the filter group, filter value setup can be done completely from NAV. And as I already said a couple of times, it is very easily extensible to support your vertical solution because it's just some pure CL coding. You just need to change some triggers and some data selection on your side and just call the web service, which is also included, of course, in the standard connector. And don't forget, everything can be a resource, anything can be a task, so everything you can think of that needs to be planned can be sent to Dime.Scheduler. Also for CRM, we have a standard connector available for service cases. And again, the filter group and filter value setup and configuration can completely be done from CRM. Okay, so as I said already a couple of times, very easy to implement, customize, verticalize. So we have some indicators in Dime.Scheduler, as I showed you, the colors of the appointments, the time markers, the priority markers. These can all be driven by back office system. They can of course also be changed in the application itself, but they can also be driven from the back office system. Pane layouts can be changed, languages and captions can be changed. You can set up field templates to decide what needs to be displayed as text in the body and the subject of a certain appointment. So this is all customizable by you as a partner. Let me just quickly go back to the demo environment and just show you one other thing. If I go to my NAV, and I'm going to open now the human resources section and absence registration. So I will register a new absence. Timothy, let's say the 27th, it should be later this week, and he will be on holiday for 8 hours. So I will also send this now to the plan board, but I will not send it as an open task as we did for the service orders. No, I will just put it immediately on the plan board, just to show you that that is also possible. So from NAV, you could say send absence. If I now go to the plan board, 27, you will see that immediately here, for Timothy's need, the appointment was created. So you don't need to drag and drop it. You know it's a holiday, you know on which day, you know from when till when, so then basically you could plan it immediately from NAV. The nice thing now is that this holiday appointment is assigned to the HR department, and the planning user which is currently logged in is assigned to the service department. So basically, this user cannot change any planning coming from the HR department. And that's what I wanted to show you. So if I'm going to try to drag and drop this, or if I'm going to try to delete this, you will see that this user is not authorized to do this. And this is all through this filter group, filter value setup, because this appointment has HR department assigned, this user has service department assigned, so you cannot change anything from the HR department. If I'm now just going to my desktop, I have another shortcut here, which is Job Planner. Previously I opened Service Planner, so now I'm going to open Job Planner. So basically this is the same Dime.Scheduler database, same application, but just with other filter groups and filter values assigned to the user. As you can see now, we have completely other resources here, completely other open tasks, and a completely different planning. So if I now going to, let me see if there are any links here to NAV, probably not. Okay, let me see if I go to a job task card in NAV. You can see previously we went to the service order from the links. Now we are going to the job task card from the links. So this is actually this is the same instance of Dime.Scheduler, the same database, but just another another user with other user rights. And as you saw, So we can just easily, very easily open another Navision, another NAV page. It doesn't have to be the service order, it could well be the job task part, for example. Okay, so if you look at the roadmap for 2014 Q2, we have some big plans ahead of us. We are working currently on a Microsoft Exchange connector, which will be able to communicate. First instance, it will be able to send data to Microsoft Exchange. In the second stage, we will make it bidirectional so that you would also be able to change the planning in Microsoft Exchange calendar and send that back to the plan board. But that will take a bit more time. But so for Q2, we will release this Microsoft Exchange connector one-directional sending. We will also release a private grid for planned tasks and capacity. And with that, we mean, okay, if you would like to look for a specific planned task, say you have a job number or a service order number, for example, and you would like to see, okay, what is planned for that task already. You will be able to open a private grid, filter on job or task or resource number or date, and you will see all the planned data, and you'll be able to sum it up in the typical private grid that you know from Excel. We will do that for planned tasks, and we'll also introduce capacity in our next release, where you will be able to set up capacity for certain resources, and will you have a capacity view if, for example, for certain days the capacity was exceeded, yes or no. So that's those are the two main features that are scheduled for our next release. Then some smaller ones, we will introduce your resource certificates, where you will be able to assign certain certificates to a resource, and that will also be available then in the resource selection when you're going to plan. You will see also a notification grid, and with that we mean that if you, for example, planned something on the plan board and the backoffice application has some warnings or errors with that, you could send those back to the plan board, and then the planning user will see them appearing in sort of a notification grid saying, okay, that and that and that is not correct, please update it. You will be able to save predefined sets of resource and task filters. So we discussed the resource filters and then the flexibility of it. In the next release, you will be able to save, let's say, sets of filters where you can quickly change between different resource selections. Same counts also for the open tasks grid that we sell. And you will be able to filter on jobs, on tasks, on resources directly from the URL. So you will be able, for example, to open the application from NAV with a specific parameter in the URL, and then the application would only show a specific part of the planning. So that's all scheduled for our next release, which will be mid-July of this year. So I think just in time, that was a very quick overview of Dime.Scheduler and what the capabilities are. If you have questions, remarks, anything, just let us know. My name is Tom Caffin. I'm more functional and technical guy. If you have questions about contracting, about partner channel pricing, you can contact Patrick Nijs at the email addresses and Skype addresses that you see here on the screen. So thank you very much for attending this webcast. We hope from hearing from you very soon. So don't hesitate to contact us, and yeah, let's hope we talk soon. Thank you.